Well, with the temperatures starting to drop, it finally feels like fall, but that means winter is around the corner, and now is the time to get your home ready for Old Man Winter. Chad Muth, president of Muth and Company Roofing, is here to help you cut those high heating bills in the winter. Thanks for joining us, Chad.
Thanks for having us.
So, if viewers are like me, I had to turn on my heat the last couple days here. It's chilly. You say there's a simple way to cut those high heating costs, and it starts with the insulation and particularly with the attic.
Yeah, I mean, that's the #1 heat loss area now, with houses becoming more energy efficient with the windows and the Tyvek wraps on the outside. Most of your heat loss now is happening through your attic space. So adding extra insulation is definitely a way to decrease your costs.
And adding that also makes your home more energy efficient too. Can you talk about that a little bit more with adding the insulation?
Well, absolutely. So most homes that are built prior to about 2007 are under insulated because codes started to transition and change, and they're adding R values to the attic. So what we're seeing is most homes have 4 to 6 inches of insulation where they need 13 to 14 inches of insulation to bring them up to an R value of R38.
Okay, and talking about those values like that, you come in and you inspect a home. So if I don't know what my R value is of you take them through that process of testing the insulation. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, we have a program where we can come out and we do a complete attic insulation inspection, and that includes checking your bathroom fans to make sure they're vented properly out, checking the intake to make sure that you're getting cool air coming in, exhaust ventilation so that the hot air is escaping, and then also making sure that you have sufficient insulation in your attic so that you don't get the heat loss through there. And obviously with heat, moisture. When the attic air, the heat gets up into the attic, it cools down, it creates condensation and moisture, and then that can create all kinds of other problems with rotting wood,
Yeah, and how would you know? So I go up every Christmas, I keep my Christmas decorations up in the attic. How would I see some signs that maybe my ventilation isn't proper or I don't have enough insulation?
Well, the cheating method is you get 2.7 R value per inch. Now, each insulation can fluctuate a little bit, but if you use that as the theory, measure your insulation and multiply it by 2.75. If you're up there close to that R38, the Department of Energy recommends even an R49, which is even higher, then you'll know. I mean, that's kind of a cheater way. Most attics, when you get up there, they'll have like little insulation sticks that show the level of the insulation. So you can look at that stick, see where your insulation's at, and then just multiply that by 2.75. It's not going to be exact, but it'll get you extremely close.
And I know for our viewers watching, if they recently had their insulation put in, my parents did a couple years ago, how often should you replace that insulation? Well,
insulation, I mean, if the attic is vented properly and it lasts pretty much forever. What'll happen is as it compacts, you lose R value. So as the insulation compacts more, so what we find is most people aren't unless it gets wet or it gets a mold or something like that in it, most people aren't replacing it, they're just adding to it. So they're just adding on top of the existing layer that they have, a couple of inches here and there. The thing that we found was when you do that, if you're not careful, you start blocking off your intake vents because you fill those cavities up, and that's one of the reasons that we spend so much time in the attic looking at things, is to make sure that your intake vents, we put baffles in to basically prevent that insulation from falling over onto the intake vents, which is a huge factor in that moisture being trapped up there and delaminating and deteriorating your roof deck, which then can, it's kind of like creates problems, and it just starts escalating from there.
So if our viewers call you and you come out for an inspection, take me through what will happen from start to finish, and how long will that take?
So generally, if we're just doing an attic inspection, it's usually about a half hour or so. We go up into the attic, we're checking the bathroom fans, we're checking the depth of the insulation, we're looking at can lights, anything that produces heat or can cause a problem up in your attic, and then we can address that accordingly. We do another program, which is our care and maintenance program, which not only includes the attic inspection, but it also does a general inspection of the entire roof, and then we do some basic maintenance, caulking, painting, sealing, and that's a couple of hours from the time we show up to the job until the time we're done, and then we also give you a detailed report to go along with that. So it depends on whether you're doing just the attic or whether you want to piggyback taking care of some of those other issues on the exterior of the house as well.
And you service all of Central Ohio, correct?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Okay. Well, don't let your heating bills go through the roof this winter. Call Chad. The number is on your screen. You can also visit muthroofing.com. Thanks for joining us, Chad.
Thanks for having me.